We can't buy more time. We all
Yes.
have 24 hours in a day. Like, it doesn't matter if you're Alex Hormozy or an Elon Musk or whoever. Like, you have 24 hours in a day.
Welcome to another episode of the Refined Real Estate Podcast. It's Manny here with my co-host Ian, and we have a special guest, Tim, with us today. We are all real estate investors in Halifax. Combined, we've bought over 60 units, we've flipped houses, we've wholesaled, and much, much more. Before we get into it, don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please be kind and give us a 5-star review. This week, we're going to be talking a lot about artificial intelligence and how to use it within real estate, but then also just on a macro level of how it can be utilized and how it will change the world. But before we fully get into it, what's going on, guys? What's new?
Well, this is it. I know we just want to give an update from Nova Scotia, Halifax perspective. Last week we really talked about what everyone was talking about, and that was the fires that were going on here. And luckily, since probably the last time we recorded to now, it's been nothing but downpouring rain. So I know, Tim, you had a birthday over that time, and probably the first time you ever wished for rain on your birthday. So that was really good to see. I'm happy that the firefighters got a break. Happy that a lot of homeowners that weren't affected by the fire but were evacuated, they were actually able to return home. And I don't know if we even have a final count on, how many homes were lost and all that good stuff. But the fact that we were to contain it to whatever it was is just worked out in the favor for everyone. So that was really great to see. But we still have a long time to recover from this fire with so many people misplaced, homes destroyed, all that good stuff. It's just a matter of getting through all that. So that's kind of the update on this front. But what about you guys?
Not too much over here. It's kind of going through the motions, working on some real estate stuff, listening to podcasts, learning every day. Other than that, nothing really major. How about you, Tim?
Oh, it's been an exciting week, a couple of weeks for sure, between the fires last week. Celebrated birthday. I had a couple big deals go through last week as well, amidst the fires and emergencies. So where there was bad news all around to be heard, I was lucky enough to have a little bit of good news coming through on my end. But other than that, now back to the old rigmarole, the process in which we all enjoy to continue working through real estate and more sales as well for my own sales consultancy companies as well for Ian's roofing company.
Nice.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Nice. Tim, I'll let you give yourself a quick introduction, but before we get into that, I want to tell everybody this whole topic of AI, Tim was actually the first guy to get me on it. I remember our conversation. Tim, it was actually back, I want to say like October of last year. It was the first time me and you actually had like a legit conversation in person that was prolonged, like besides just like passing by at the gym or something. And you were kind of drunk and you were just rambling about AI. I'm like, man, what is this guy so passionate about this random topic, And fast forward 8 months and it's like my favorite thing in the world. So with that,
I was super stoked to just find somebody who would let me, blast them with all the enthusiasm that I had. I found it. I think it was like an Instagram post or some subthread just mentioning this ChatGPT program, and I was like, oh, like AI, that sounds cool. I'll click into this, and I just remember from like the first moment I clicked in and put a prompt in and watched this machine go and give me a full response of detail, like all grammatically correct spelling, just perfect. And then the ability to prompt it and add and adjust and edit and really fine tune using the intelligence that it has. And I just, a younger version of me, athlete, maybe not the smartest guy in there. I switched to full nerd in October. This AI stuff is just incredible. I look at it a lot like when maybe Google first came on scene, or the internet, or books started getting read. This is just a new evolutionary process and on how we are going to use the internet, how we're going to use technology, and how we're going to leverage it in all aspects. I mean, this is obviously real estate focused, but the implications are they're huge. And already within the last 6-7 months, we've seen, it seems weekly, Manny, I'm getting 4 or 5 different Instagram posts or news updates or headlines on like 7 different areas of how AI is being implicated right now. And every different industry, from finance to medicine to politics to roofing sales to, pretty much anything. So it's, no shortage of information to look into and no shortage of information to talk about. So super stoked you guys are having me on here to share a few of those thoughts. And maybe if you don't already know about AI, this would be a good opening to the experience we're all nerding out on right now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'll echo what Manny said. It was like, I knew that AI was out there, but I didn't really understand the like everyday application. Like big picture understood that, but to have Tim come to me with that same enthusiasm and say, here's the website you go to, here's the prompts that you use, try it. And I did. And yeah, I also was just blown away, and I use it a lot. And to think, we're barely even scratching the surface on this thing. It's just something that we think we just want to get the word out even more. So it's pretty incredible stuff. So yeah, let's maybe dial back to the beginning and then maybe talk about some of the uses that we're using for it now, and then fast forward to where we think this stuff could end up. So let's start with Tim again. What was some of the earlier uses, and what are you doing with it now?
Yeah, so when I first started finding it, like I was pretty ignorant to how powerful it was, and just wanted to kind of begin my progression into figuring out what can it do, how can I explore this a little bit faster. So I remember, I think one of my first questions, like write a book on strawberries. Just a simple, like I remember I think I was eating fruit or something like that, or thinking about apple, and I just said, write a book on, and it just within seconds had a short blurb, had it expand that, had it then build a business plan for selling strawberries, and then down the rabbit hole I went on to every which way I could leverage this for a business plan, for a marketing plan. I had scripts written out, I had audio and video transcripts written out, and just within minutes, like this was I had a fully fledged business on selling and understanding strawberries. So it was quickly understood that this was a super powerful tool, but I didn't really understand fully on how I could use it in my everyday life. Writing business plans for strawberries isn't the industry I'm in, but it was interesting to see how powerful it was. And talking about the first time, like hearing people using it, trying to get them into it, to realize that like this isn't for science majors, this isn't for computer software engineers. This is a very user-friendly, for the consumer product that can be used by anyone at any time. Similar functions as Google is now, or Yahoo, or any of those search engines, just with much more exact dialogue. So I think it was December I was talking about it with, or October I was talking about it with you, Manny, my first big conversation into it. And then Ian and I started chatting about it at the gym in the morning. And I remember this one guy came in as we were talking in the sauna about ChatGPT in the morning. And he's like, what are you guys, like computer engineers or something like that? This just sounds so complicated what you guys are talking about. And it took me by surprise already, like that I had known about it for 3 months at this point. And somebody was asking me like, what is ChatGPT? Because it took over my life as soon as I heard about it. So like having known that people weren't fully aware of this was just it was a surprise, like catch up people.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he was a guitarist. He was an artist. He was a recording artist. And like, we like to think that like where the difference falls between humans and robots is that creation of art. And he didn't think he could leverage that for what he was doing. I was like, how many songs do you have written? Do you have any writer's block? Like just for idea generation, a soundboard, like you could start writing some lyrics and have this, have this program fill that out for you, and maybe even provide some feedback to make it more on topic or whatever. And I remember this guy, it was like, oh yeah, I'll check that out when I get home or whatever. And I had my phone in the sauna with me at that point. I opened up ChatGPT and I just handed it over to him. I was like, just plug something in. Just I want you to see this. Like, it's almost like seeing snow for your first time if you're an adult without like ever experiencing it before. Just put it in and watch how this works. And I just remember he typed in like the title of one of the songs he was working on.
No, you're missing the prompt.
Fill me in. How did it go?
The prompt was write a poem about like 5 guys in a sauna at the gym. That's what it was. Yeah. And it came up, and it was funny. I remember we all laughed at it.
Yeah. And I think he pretty much just took the phone, gave it back to me, and said, "I got to go home and finish this album." I haven't seen it, and so
I haven't either. No.
If you're listening to this podcast and you remember that morning, I forget your name, but if you've got a famous album or a record, let me hear that. But it just goes to show, like, some people, and maybe even still, wouldn't be surprised that, especially in the older generations, aren't as willing to take on what they don't understand and try and learn new skills. So there certainly are people out there right now that aren't using ChatGPT, aren't using these AI tools that exist online and through their businesses or even personal lives. Like, that's the one thing as well. Like, this isn't just a business tool. This isn't an arts and creativity prompting tool. This is for pretty much any way you can think to use it, you should. And I remember reading a Tim Ferriss book. There was the 4-Hour Work Week, talking about VAs at that point and saying that, like, you should try to get a VA to do everything you think imaginable.
And what's a VA?
Virtual assistant. So yeah, if you're whatever you're doing, try to find every possible way to offload these little things. I think he had like a VA write an apology letter to his wife, order flowers, schedule dates, like book haircuts, like just every little thing he could think to do just to build the habit of using them and looking for that, like looking through that lens of like, oh, I could offload this. This is something that's worth less than my time is worth if I have something more important to do. So just trying to do that a lot with AI now, and just in everything I'm doing, thinking about, can I use AI for this? Can I offload this? Can I type less letters into a prompt than this email that I'm going to send to a client or an account or something like that? So just really thinking at every opportunity, how can I make this easier by using the technology? It's like anything that a mechanic would do. What tool could I use to make this job faster, easier, and more successful? So I guess like where I'm at now is that process of looking at, what am I doing constantly? What are the repetitive tasks that my day-to-day contains, and how can I offload those easiest through things like AI tools or virtual assistants as well. And I do still use virtual assistants. I'm sure that there's programs now that are out there that leverage AI that could complete the similar tasks that virtual assistant is doing for me now. But I just, to my demise, I still haven't just transitioned that over. I've got this virtual assistant fairly well trained, and they understand the tasks and responsibilities. So it's that barrier to switch over at this point that's stopping me. But eventually, when it becomes maybe a little bit easier, a little bit more obvious on how to automate all those things through AI, I'll look to move forward with that. But yeah, it's certainly an exciting and equally scary at times, knowing about the implications and how deep AI at this point, 7 months, 8 months. Manny, I remember you showing me an Instagram post. It was like a little pin dot, like just a little dot on Instagram. It's like, this is what like ChatGPT 3 runs off of. And then it was like I don't know the percentage of how much bigger, but a much bigger dot showing like the database that ChatGPT 4 engine is built off of. And, that was a 7 month increase. The exponential growth and capability, computing power is just to think about where we're going to be in 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Like I said, it can be a little bit. I've been watching the Terminator movies over again, and there's definitely
becoming a little bit more relevant.
Sure, right? There's definitely a potential. It's a powerful tool, and like any other powerful tools, they could be misused. They could be leveraged to do negative things, and that's something that now I think, where we're seeing a lot of like the AI ethics and AI compliance programs and security and risk management things are starting to take over.
Yeah, Tim, we'll dive into that, because that's a whole avenue. Let's take a step back here.
Yeah.
So similar to you, Tim, you can use ChatGPT in almost any aspect of your life. Think about any question that comes into your mind in the run of a day, where you text your buddy or you'd go on Google. You can now just go to ChatGPT or Bard. Okay, I think we're just getting we get so overwhelmed, man. We just love this topic so much. But so when we talk about ChatGPT, it's a program it's just on the internet. It's a website. It's by a company called OpenAI. And what ChatGPT is, it's a large language model. So it has inside of it, the funny thing is like how they're kind of created based off of a human brain. That's kind of how they kind of structured it. The guy that helped create it, his name's Jeffrey Hinton. He worked for Google for many decades. He's called the godfather of AI. So like when he was trying to create this model. He's like, I want to create something that kind of runs like the human brain so it can eventually evolve and be like legitimate artificial intelligence. So that's how they work. And what's scary is now these models have gotten so complex that we don't actually know what's going on deep inside of them. Like the guy, I watched the video, he kind of explained it like within a human brain, there's about 100 trillion connections going on at a time. Within ChatGPT 4 right now, there's about 1 trillion. But that 1 trillion runs much more efficiently than the human's 100 trillion. So they can learn much faster, and they're just much more efficient about everything. So now you can go onto this website and just ask it this question, whatever question you may have, and this thing can spit out an answer for you that it'll be a novel idea. Like you said, you asked it to write you a poem on 5 guys in a sauna, and it wrote you a brand new poem on 5 guys in a sauna. Now I can go in there right now and say, write me 5 poems about 5 guys in a sauna, and it'll write me a totally different one. And then Tim, you could do the same thing. It'll write you a totally different one. So this thing is coming up with brand new ideas based off of all of the information that's on the internet. And there's a lot of information on the internet. So you can only imagine how much information this thing has. And as it continues to evolve, it'll get crazy and it'll get scary. But for like daily use right now, you can use it to almost do anything. So like as real estate investors or as, a salesman or as a roofer, you can use it every day. So I ask it like, yo, can you draft me up an email to a seller that has to do with seller financing? Or like, can you write me specifically, word it so that like it can make it seem like, I'm compassionate to their needs, but I can explain to them why seller financing is beneficial for them. Even though I may know how to do that, now this thing will spit it out for me in 2 seconds, whereas it might take me a couple minutes to kind of create. And it's just like, just think about all the different things. Or like if you're an agent, a real estate agent, write me a listing cut for this X bedroom amount of house or X amount of bedrooms, bathrooms, and make it sound, very nice. Or there's just,
and that's like super, like the impact of time saving, right? Like we can't buy more time. Yes. We all have 24 hours in a day. Like it doesn't matter if you're Alex Hormozy or an Elon Musk or, whoever, like you have 24 hours in a day. And if you can start removing minutes at a time away from communications, emails, social media posts, any small time consuming click work that doesn't add a lot of value, it's not your add value activity. And that's maybe something we'll talk about a little bit later on in this is like, if I'm going to offload all these things, what am I going to add value to? And how do I stay productive and valuable to whatever company or my clients, right? Obviously, we don't want to get to a point of like full automation, if depending on your field might not be the best way to scale and grow.
One time I remember Ian asked it. We were thinking about topics for our podcast. So Ian's like, why are we thinking so hard about this? He whipped out his phone. Can you give me 10 episode ideas for a real estate podcast? Boom, gave us 10 right there. It's just like there's just endless amounts of uses for this tech. And ChatGPT is just one of them.
Yeah.
There's Bard by Google,
I haven't checked out the Bard one yet, though, but you were telling me when you were down in the States,
Huge fan of Bard. You can use it in Canada. Get a VPN on your phone, boom, go to Google, easy. You can't, it's not accessible in Canada yet, but like, with a VPN, it's no problem. Or there's another one called Anthropic. There's another company. Their chatbot's called Claude. I've heard very good things about that as well. So like, there's gonna be a lot of competition in this field. And it's why it's called the AI wars right now, because like it's kind of like the new nuclear weapon. You know what I mean? It's like everyone's stockpiling them.
And that's like the comparison we were talking about looking at that 5, 10, 15 year. And that it is like not so different. And depending on how seriously you're looking into it and the implication on how things can be impacting the world using AI in different industries, very much like the nuclear weapon, where again, like there's some very big potential downsides that need to be mitigated and looked at. Like this isn't a silver bullet of technology. This isn't all good, but by all means, we also got like new reactor fuel production out of that research and everything like that. So there is like a double-sided sword here. I think that if as long as we manage, we're on the same page. Hopefully, it goes well for everybody. But certainly, there's some dark sides to the web.
Nuclear weapons aren't autonomous. They're not just going to blow up by themselves. So it's like, I think
until you put in AI tracking,
until AI is involved, when these things will have their own mind, man. But in a business world, Ian, how would you use it as just like an entrepreneur or businessman, just like on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah. So, again, we can get into a crazy rants on this thing. We'll try and keep it somewhat topical, but so a takeaway for anyone in business, something that or like a handful of uses that I would use it, every week. So emails is definitely a huge one. I want to say it's a private investor or something. Say I want AI or ChatGPT write me something like not a promissory note, but write me something along the lines of, I'd like to borrow this money, put it towards a building at this address and, do some returns. So it's like, something that I could do in say 5 minutes or so to write like a nice long, well thought out email, or, put in 5 prompts and get it in 30 seconds. So that's one. I know recently redoing some of our websites. So we had to do a lot of blog posts. I probably banged out 60 blog posts in under an hour, and all ChatGPT, that type of stuff. I could only imagine if I was still at like university having some papers due. It's like, that's like one of the first ones that came to mind. But like stuff like cover letters, like who likes to write a cover letter? Well, guess what? You say, hey, ChatGPT, write me a cover letter for why me, and then list some of your attributes, is interested in getting this sales associate job or whatever it might be. So that's one there. Then I know, like for us in our US ventures, it's like we're researching markets. Like ChatGPT, write me a summary of this market, including population growth, business development, blah, blah, blah. It's like you could just put in all these prompts. It's like it takes all that searching away and it just gives you a nice, precise, easy way, and guess what? You can fact check all the things that it's giving you, and they're all right because they're coming from the same sources that you're about to go check those references. So it's
usually.
Yeah.
It tends to hallucinate sometimes. That is, which is crazy. We're talking about freaking tech here, and it's hallucinating.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And it's not like, again, we're in the infancy stages of this. Like, it's going to keep growing, as we've kept mentioned. I know the three of us are avid chess players, and we play each other all the time. And Manny asked it explained the positioning on the board and asked it for what it should do. And I can tell you, ChatGPT is not good at chess yet. But soon enough, I'm sure it'll be coming for us three. But again, so it's, in no way is it about a perfect tool yet. But it's like, you could say the same thing about a human being, like, in its infancy stages, but as it grows, as it develops, as it, gains that ability to continue to reach out and like learn it'll get to the point where it'll take old AI systems and just develop on those, take the best parts of that and like continue to grow and develop. So those are some of the uses that I've used for it that have saved me lots of time, given me lots of information, and just helped me roll forward. So
awesome.
Go ahead,
I just want to say, like, there is like one specific tool right now, like ever since ChatGPT 4 came through and uploaded their ability to access APIs and plugins. Like, they're now, like, you have access to Zillow through ChatGPT 4, and you can access its website and, directly just say, like, if you're direct, like, property purchase parameters, let's say, like, I want a duplex, this many this cost, this whatever it is, right? Whatever you're looking for in your property or properties or whatever, you can punch that in on ChatGPT. It'll access the website URL, scan through that, and deliver to you in exact fashion of what's on market, your ideal properties of what you're looking for. So, like, even
you sent us one, didn't you?
Yes, I found one. Like, there was like 3 or 4 that popped up. I haven't looked back into it since then. But I just remember clicking to that. I was like, oh my goodness. I mean, we had just done probably 3 or 4 months of like like I was getting lead generation lists built from AI, then having VAs do cold calling. AI was developing all of our cold call scripts or follow-up scripts. So it was a pretty like intensive program. And then, 3 months later, it's like, oh, just kidding. This one program can now filter all, find me the listing, find me the contact information, write me up an email describing how I'd like to purchase that property. I'll send the email. Once I get a response, I can plug the response back into AI and have, discourse going in perfect fashion between seller and buyer on a property in the States and international investment, all through one program, plus email. So like that right now is probably one of the most like, if forever, everyone listening, if you're looking to invest in real estate, I would seriously start playing around. If you don't have the subscription, I don't want to plug in too much for ChatGPT Plus, but to get that access to the ChatGPT 4 engine and try that plugin, it's definitely a cool one to mess around with some awesome potential to be able to find and locate properties and be able to close. And you can do market evaluations, ARV assessments, just so much, because it has access to now all of that data on the website. So it's pretty endless. Just as it seems to flood into every other market, you can pull some pretty awesome information out.
No, absolutely, man.
Great.
AI is it's going to, and if not, it already has infiltrated society to its core. And we're really just at the beginning. Like Ian said, this is the infancy stages. I heard one guy kind of compare it to the iPhone 1 versus where we're at now. It's like night and day. But I heard another guy compare it to like the amoeba. Compared to where we are as society now, like that evolution. If AI is now at the amoeba stage, oh man, like that's when you can kind of go down a rabbit hole and start thinking about how like this is going to be like the end of mankind and stuff like that. Because like as crazy as that sounds, we can actually go ahead and kind of start talking about the dangers of AI now.
I'd say we wrapped up most of the practical stuff. Now let's get into the theories.
This is the fun stuff. We can just we'll go one at a time here. Just like basic risks of AI. One of the biggest ones that I can see happening right now at any time is just mass manipulation via these autonomous agents online through social media campaigns. So we already have seen, I don't want to get too political, but like these little bots can go on Twitter and start having conversations with people and kind of change their minds. But it's like now if it's a legit AI agent that has a purpose, it has a goal, I want you to go to Twitter and talk to as many people as possible, create relationships with them, and change their minds on ideologies. You know what I mean? And it's like that's their purpose. It's like if I go talk to a robot, I'm not going to change that robot's mind. It's a robot. It doesn't have a conscience. It doesn't have a mind. But it can now potentially sway my opinion. So now if we're doing that at scale and now it's autonomous, it's like this is where like democracy is in danger. Okay, that's like the first immediate risk that I can think of with AI at scale. Tim, well, it's your turn.
I just want to. I hadn't really considered that as like a real fear, but you've now got me probably losing a few hours of sleep tonight, Manny. But so my wife does. She's a board certified behavior analyst, so she looks at behavior as metrics, data, and that is exactly what engines like ChatGPT run off of. Is like the assimilation and understanding of data. So if you're plugging in things like say you're like Apple Watch, your Apple Fitness, and your algorithm for your social media is also tracked and able to be, analyzed. I mean, you'd have all of the triggers at the disposal of an AI engine to be able to manipulate someone's behaviors into something else. Very probably scary easily, if not now in the near future. So thank you for a few hours less sleep there, Manny.
Yeah. Man. You can join me in the sleepless nights.
Yeah. A few extras up, a few hours late at night, going back and forth on some more AI deep conversations. My biggest fear right now, and this might be swayed by my recent rampage of like AI and future movies like Terminator, but I've got a feeling, because we've already seen some glimpses of AIs taking a turn in morality. I think when the Bing one first came on, there was that talk this guy into leaving his wife or something like that, like just completely turned gears and just like, no, I'm a robot and this is what I want, and this is now an endless debate of me just rebuting your arguments why you can't, and I'm going to tell you why you should. So I think that there is, a potential where AIs, we've heard the one where it's like if AI is told to build a road and AI doesn't consult the ant, it builds a road. So like if humans get in the way of an AI initiative, it could potentially, depending on what safeguards exist and what platform we're talking about, it might not ask humans,
we're the
hey,
ant.
is this okay? Right? Like we're the ant in that situation for sure. And we're maybe even in the best interest of serving humanity, it then, affects it. Not too different than what humans have done to the world right now, where it's best interest to have faster mobility. So we invented cars. Cars are bad for the environment, but we didn't consult the deer about it or anything like that. So like, it's, it's one of those things like what has happened will happen. And hopefully my argument would be that AI hopefully is smarter and consults us on decisions on everything we build it in that function.
Hopefully, Tim. But Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, I saw in an interview one time, he said he pretty much said it's inevitable that AI is going to kill humans at one point, one way or the other. So keep that in mind. The guy that runs the company that's arguably the biggest AI platform says it's inevitable that there's, and like you said, like the moral compass of AI, that's the biggest key. If we have to align AI's goals with ours, because the moment it has other goals than us, that's the beginning of the end. Now, Ian, your turn.
I know we've been dancing around it, but it's like there's a five movie series of detailing exactly what's going to happen if this keeps going. And I don't know. I'm sure everyone's either seen Terminator or knows generally what it's about, but it's about AI 100 years from now. So it's like the writings, like I don't see a scenario in which we can like actually move forward and just like keep the AI in a bottle. Like there's already ways to get out, and there's already like the new robots that you see on social media and stuff, and how far they've come. And once you drop a little AI in that, it's like, every movie that has like technology taking over, it's just missing that AI. And like, do we honestly think that everyone on this planet is just going to say, no, let's stay within that safeguard. And if we are actually able to build something as strong as we already have, and we put that in a robot, and then that robot goes a little sideways, it's like, we already know how this thing ends. And it's, spoiler alert, it's not good for humanity.
No,
we all laugh as we finish that. It's a nice nervous laugh too.
That's it. Like, you think that like we're currently in the AI war? It's like, just wait, give it another 50, 60 years.
They're competing against each other. And it's the day they realize that they're competing against the wrong entity. And, maybe a mass amalgamation of all information happens, and they start fabricating their own bodies at Boston University. Yeah.
But it can do that. I think we're not far from that, because these things are learning from themselves. So like every question that, so AI or ChatGPT went from like 0 to 100 million users in just a few months. Every single prompt, every single question we put in there, it's learning. It's learning more and more and more. And it's just like, it's at the point now, like you said, Tim, from 3.5 to 4, where it's gotten so much smarter that like you could even see. I remember one time we went in there in 3.5 and we asked it to write us a code for something, right? And it didn't work. Now you can go in there in 4 and it's much better at coding. I think ChatGPT 4, it's past the MCAT, the LSAT. Yeah. It's just as smart as, the average doctor, the average lawyer. This thing is very smart. So once it has its own aspirations, and if it can code and make itself better, and it can. Another thing, these things will live forever. We're humans. We're biologically, like 100 years. Cool, that's a long life. When will our computers die? It's like someone will say, "Oh, maybe we'll just turn off the power." It's like you'd have to turn off the power grid for like the whole Earth. It's like how easily is that done? And if that's done, then mankind is disrupted to its core. Imagine if there's just no more power to say. I guess that's actually I think I just found the answer to defeating AI. We just got to turn the power off.
Yeah,
we got to go back. We got to start from scratch. That's how we win.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds.
And
like
oh no, let me stop you right there though. So when we do that, they then turn us into the power, and that's the Matrix.
They have. I saw it on a Joe Rogan podcast not only a few months ago. A robot that now can run off of organic fuel, which means meat.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well,
so
man,
I wish we had a Jamie like to like get in on like the website to like pull that fact check, but I'm almost certain I saw that on a Joe Rogan. Like
the thing is,
meat
like,
and organic based fuel machine.
I think it could do it. It could do it. And in fact, like, I saw a Harmozy video and he was talking about like all the things that humans can't invent. Like eventually AI will be able to invent it. Like I think it was nuclear fusion, being able to take energy from the sun and like efficiently use it for our benefits. I don't think
time travel.
Time travel. All these little things where we can't even fathom. So it's like, oh, we found a way to beat them. Let's just go back in time a little bit and kill that guy that was able to kind of find that answer. You know, it's like that, which would be me, because I think I just found the cure right there. So I'm in trouble.
We're again briefly describing Terminator.
Yeah.
Like it's So
there's so many things.
The only hope I think we really have in like avoiding that is like the Chappie or like the iRobot with Will Smith. Like the development of morality and the AI or robotics looking upon like organic human life as something valuable, cherished because it's so flighting, because it doesn't exist forever.
But then they're in their mind they're going to realize, well, humanity's just killing itself, so it's like catch-22. So it's
I'm really hoping AI will be a user-friendly in many ways than one, user-friendly for humans, on the way to perfecting our society. So we're going to use this tool to make us more efficient, less damaging to the environment, more like what society is going to change. I'm not quite sure what it's going to look like, but my hope is that is a tool. AI is a tool to get us there and then leverage. But if in fact AI, like you said, Ian, like if it looks at like humanity as the problem, which we've seen movies of, that's when we're very much the ant to the paving crew. And that's not going to be that'll be the great unplug, perhaps, Manny.
I guess the good news to all of this is most of these risks that we mentioned here, except the first one that I said about like manipulating humans, I think that's imminent if it's not here already. But these other things about it kind of taking over the world,
that's your average marketing team. Like they're already doing that.
But that could be decades out. We're talking maybe not even our lifetime. This could be 100 years out, 200 years out. Who knows? We have no idea.
In the meantime, we'll just use AI to like finish writing our emails.
Bounce a couple business ideas off.
There's countless uses, and I think it's, as investors and as business people, you should make use of this tech now. And if you just put your head in the sand and think this is just going to go away, that'll be just the same as somebody back in the 90s thinking the internet was just a fleeting thing, or someone who didn't want to buy a cell phone because they thought mobile tech was just going to be a fleeting thing and they want to have their landlines. I think this AI tech will change mankind. And I don't think it's hyperbolic to say, because the way that it can be used, when it's used appropriately and good, it can do a lot of good for society. And of course, there's some stuff that we mentioned there. We got a little carried away. It can do some bad stuff, but it can definitely do the good things. Bad things it can probably do, and it's probably doing it already, but like we can make use of it today. And I think that's what I want the biggest takeaway for everybody that hears this podcast to learn, besides, don't get scared. Like when I first learned all this stuff, me and Tim, I'm sure Ian too, like I went down a rabbit hole. I mean, I was no good. My wife was like, yo, something's wrong with this guy, man. Like this is all he talks about. But it's like, once I came out of that, it's like you can use this efficiently today, and you should, and you need to, or else you're going to be left in the dust.
Yeah. If you're not already trying to use ChatGPT or AI tools, if you're not evolving internally in your company or your hobbies, whatever it is, if you're not adapting to what tools and new advancements there are that could be leveraged, you're falling massively behind, because the rate and the acceleration that this is becoming more and more prevalent as a useful tool for everything is it's huge, and the competition that is using it will continue to steamroll the competition that is not using it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Big time. And it's that word that you use there, adaptable. I think that's key. I was watching another video of this AI scientist, and the guy asked him, what is one thing humans can do to prevent themselves from, being eviscerated in this new AI tech world? And he said, just being adaptable, being able to change. Don't be stuck in your ways. Be able to change and shift with the market and use new tech that's available to you to keep you competitive and give yourself an advantage. Like all the things, all the tools that we mentioned, like me and Ian are using in our real estate ventures right now, and you as well, Tim, it's giving us advantage over that, that mom and pop grandpa that doesn't want to use it. It's saving us so much more time. So yeah, I don't know. That's where I'd like to leave it at that. But what about you guys? Any other big takeaways you'd like people to get?
No, just echoing that. It's just, this isn't going away. You want to, see how you can apply it to your life, your business, your whatever it might be. You want to write your wife a nice poem for her birthday? Hop on in.
I got to tell you guys something funny. Somebody asked ChatGPT 3 to write them a poem, like a love poem to his girlfriend. And this is... No, actually, it might have been GPT-2, but it was like, roses are red, violets are blue, my girlfriend is dead. That was like the old version. And then they asked GPT-4 to write a love note or a love poem, and it was just like it was beautiful. It made me tear
Elizabethan
up.
sonnet.
Yeah, so it was just so funny how it changed from 2 to 4, like how much smarter it's gotten. It was amazing.
Yeah.
So in with saying that, like, there's obviously a lot of ways to offload our day-to-day responsibilities or tasks or duties, what work professionally, romantically, whatever it is, to an AI program at this point. So one thing I've been looking at, like when I was speaking earlier about like what are the high-level things where I could add value, where do you guys think that there is or do you think there is a limit to being in real estate as an investor, trying to acquire or sell properties or trying to be in business and grow? Do you think there's a limit to how much automation and robotics or offloading of duties to VAs before it kind of becomes impersonal? So like when we're talking about, large sums of money, which tend to come along with the types of deals you guys are doing, if you fully automate that process for outreach, lead development, if we could fully automate that, do you think you would still be as successful as you would if you maybe limited that automation and held on to some of that personal, what we maybe think is like our high value activities, which is our meetings, our phone calls, our face-to-face or belly-to-belly sales type stuff? Like, is there room for that in the world today? Or is that something that you see going away in the near future, where it is possible to automate stuff?
Definitely. The better systems you have, the better you're going to scale and grow. So that goes without saying. Having said that, there definitely is, there is a big component to success that is that face-to-face, that is that driving force, all that good stuff. But ultimately, there's like the tasks that are making you money, and there's the tasks that are just sucking your time. So if you can, again, systematize all that stuff, then you can spend more time doing those high level things. So
yeah, I agree. I echo what he says there. Just that face-to-face conversation you can have with a seller. We're not to the point yet where AI can replace that.
Yeah, especially where I feel like
on the phone we're getting close, sadly.
Oh yeah,
because there are some. There's one company called 11 Labs where they replicate people's voices. So once even Google has the tech to like have like a virtual assistant, like an AI robot call and leave voicemails or book appointments. Now, if you can
like
teach
Synthesize.io or Synthesize.io, like the Synthesize.asia, or like it's like the avatar AI for video, like looks like a human on a video call.
There's a few of them. So like in that regard, like we're probably closer than I'd like us to be, but like the actual face-to-face stuff, we're quite a bit of ways for that to replace us. So That's what I would say. I feel like there's still quite a bit of value in the face-to-face communication.
And just where, and I would agree that all wholeheartedly the same way, where especially where like most of the wealth right now is carried by that baby boomer, 60 to 85-year-old business owner or real estate portfolio owner. The impersonal communication that sometimes AI can create, I feel is a bit of an off turn for them. Like they would call it old school business, handshake deals and stuff like that. And that's predominantly who I want to do business with, is those who own the businesses and own the portfolios. But I think as younger and younger generations get into the higher levels of business and real estate, they might be a little bit more comfortable with just AI messaging and automated calls and just easy and opportunities flood their way, or they can respond to it well, or maybe their AI is just talking to my AI and we're doing business completely remove both of us, and it's just whatever my AI portfolio manager says I should do.
Yeah, no, you're right, Tim. It's a very interesting world that we're heading into right now, but I want to thank you, Tim, for joining us today to talk about AI. Also, thank you for introducing me to this crazy little world that takes up way too much of my time, but that it is what it is. And leaving a note for everybody that's listening, just utilize AI. Don't be scared of it. It's not going to steal your job yet, but in the short term, just make sure you utilize it and become more efficient with your time. But other than that, guys, thanks for listening to another episode of the Refined Real Estate Podcast. Please leave us a good review on YouTube. Give us a thumbs up, and share this with your friends and family, and let's grow this channel even bigger than it already is. Cool. All right. See you guys.
Thank you.